I would like to reconvene the meeting from closed session and call this meeting to order for the City Council meeting of December 7th, 2021. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll and make an announcement about the accessing the meeting?
Councilmember Cordero?
Here.
Councilmember Escobedo?
Here.
Councilmember Soto?
Here.
Councilmember Waterfield?
Present.
Madam Mayor Patino?
Here.
First thing, Madam Mayor and council members, I'd like to announce that the City Council meeting may not be viewed on our Comcast Channel 23 TV tonight. There are some technical difficulties, but the public may view the meeting on our YouTube channel. The Channel 23 will be offline, and Comcast is trying to resolve the situation. In order to participate in the City Council meeting virtually, please register to speak using the link on the agenda under public comment or call 1-669-900-9128 and use webinar ID 856-0202-3858. To raise your hand to speak on a particular agenda item, please use the raise hand button in the Zoom meeting portal. If you are using a phone, please press star 9 on your telephone keypad to raise your hand to speak. Press star 6 to unmute your phone. When it is your time to speak, your microphone will be unmuted for the time allotted by the mayor and will be muted upon completion of your comments.
Thank you. For the first item this evening, yeah. Okay, City Attorney, Mr. Watson, could you please give us a closed session report?
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council. During the closed session, there was instructions provided to the labor negotiators related to the items listed in the closed session. No further report is necessary.
Okay, thank you. First item this evening is a retirement resolution, and Councilmember Waterfield will be making the presentation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It is with great honor that I am able to present this wonderful resolution to a great man. This is resolution number 2021-130, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Santa Maria, California, commending Fire Engineer Victor Gutierrez for his 30 years of dedicated service to the City of Santa Maria and congratulating him on his retirement. Whereas Fire Engineer Victor Gutierrez began his career with the Santa Maria Fire Department as a reserve firefighter in 1991, was promoted to full-time as a firefighter in 1995, and then to fire engineer in 2004. And whereas Victor became an aircraft rescue firefighter certified in 2011, assigned to Airport Fire Station 6, streamlined the ARF program, and was essential part of Station 6 staffing. And whereas Engineer Gutierrez coordinated many events for the fire department, including the annual golf tournament fundraiser for the Firefighters Benevolent Association, the first Central Coast Firefighters Memorial, the department centennial celebration, and numerous retirement parties for department personnel. And whereas Engineer Gutierrez was named Firefighter of the Year in 1998 and is known for his gregarious personality and connections to the community. Victor will retire on December 17th, 2021, and the Santa Maria City Council wishes to recognize Victor for his dedication and contributions to the city. Now, therefore, it is resolved by the City Council of the City of Santa Maria, California, as follows. Fire Engineer Victor Gutierrez is hereby recognized and commended for his dedicated service to the City of Santa Maria and wished good health and many years of happiness in all of his future endeavors. And Madam Mayor, I make that as a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Excuse me, I have a motion and a second to adopt a resolution honoring Victor Gutierrez for his years of service, and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Waterfield?
Aye.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Soto?
Aye.
Councilmember Escobedo?
Aye.
Madam Mayor Patino?
I'd like to vote no on that, but I'll vote aye.
And I just want to say, Victor, you have been so great in your position as a firefighter. It's been so wonderful to know you, your beautiful wife, Angelica. You have 2 gorgeous grandchildren now. It's like, oh my gosh, it just seemed like the other day, and we were precinct walking, but I appreciate everything you've done, and I wish you well. I wish you Godspeed, that God takes care of you and your family from now on.
Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this proclamation, Mayor Patino, council members, city administrator, and to my fire chief, Todd Tuggle. And thank you, Chief, for your hard work and leadership since coming to the Santa Maria Fire Department. My love and heart and passion for the fire service and serving the community started over 35 years ago with the Guadalupe Fire Department, and it continues today. There has never been a day I did not want to come to work. If I were 35 years younger, I would do it all over again. Thank you to then Guadalupe Fire Chief Hank Lawrence, Assistant Fire Chief Brian Masatani, Captain Al Nunez, who encouraged me to join the fire department, which ignited my fire service career back on January 1st, 1984, when I was 20 years old. Thank you to retired Santa Barbara County Fire Captain Dave Ortega, who also encouraged me numerous times in never giving up and becoming a full-time firefighter. Thank you to all my Santa Maria Fire Department mentors that have long since retired for amazing support, guidance, and leadership. Engineer Junior Saavedra, Battalion Chief Tom Craigs, Captain Dave McDaniel, Battalion Chief Ralph Bell, Captain Ron Moore, Captain Doug Dixon, Captain Mark Cole, Captain Frank Reyes, Reserve Captain Mike Champion, our specialist Carlos Roland, and my current Battalion Chief Jim Clayton. Thank you again. To my current members of the Santa Maria Fire Department, may God continue to protect and bless you every day of your fire service career. Continue to wear the uniform proudly every day, like the first day you entered the doors of this honorable profession. Each one of you can make a difference. Thank you for the Santa Maria Firefighters, Firefighters Local 2020, and all that have served in the E-Board for your support and the protection of our wages and working conditions. Thank you to the 8 fire chiefs that I had the pleasure to work with. All of you have supported me throughout my career. Thank you to retired firefighter Dennis Shapansky and firefighter Mike Canales. Your help in supporting many events and barbecues and services that I coordinated were because of your ideas and because of your love for the fire service. To mention a few, the Central Coast Fire Prevention Day events in the late 90s and early 2000, the 9/11 fundraisers for the New York City firefighters 2 weeks after 9/11, the 2013 year-long Santa Maria Fire Department Centennial events, barbecues for fallen firefighter families and firefighters throughout the state, fire departments throughout the states, Santa Maria Chief Wright Crates and Orca Fire Chief Ron Bennett's funeral services, and Fire Ops 101 that many of you and community leaders participated in several years ago. Thank you, Dennis and Mike. To my family and friends, thank you for your prayers and support throughout the years. Your words and encouragement gave me the strength to continue protecting and serving my community. To my parents, may they rest in peace. Thank you for the foundation and life you set for me and your support in my career in giving back to the community. To the love of my life, Angelica, thank you for all the years of support in my love of the fire service and your understanding of the brotherhood we have in the service, especially evident at firefighter weddings, firefighter golf tournament, and firefighter retirement parties. Thank you for raising 2 incredible daughters, Nadia and Marisa, when I was literally gone over a third of my life at the firehouse or on a large and lengthy fire assignment. At the same time, you had your own career and being involved in many organizations, and communities. You're an incredible wife and human being. Thank you for being my counselor and therapist in life. I love you. To my daughters, thank you for understanding I couldn't be there for you all the time. However, I tried to be there as much as I could. Love you, girls. And to my beautiful grandkids, Amelia and Theo, I look forward to spending more time with you. Last, now that I am on the eve of my last retirement that I'm on the eve of my last days in the fire service, I want to thank God for giving me the strength, protection, and courage to face danger. You have given me an ability to risk my life without hesitation to protect and save human life. But you also taught me when to pull back. My eyes have seen many tragedies and witnessed life's miracles, some that will forever be tattooed in my mind. Thank you, God, for you protected me with your shroud so I could do my job all these years. To my family and friends, brothers and sister firefighters, thank you for being here. Thank you again for this proclamation, which I dedicate to all the fallen firefighters who have made the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you.
I'm going to ask him. Chief Tuggle, would you like to say a few words?
Victor, don't go away.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. There's really not a lot more to add than what Victor already said, but I would say from a very personal standpoint, this department in the city has been incredibly welcoming to me, and at the front of that line of those welcoming to me as a new deputy chief and then fire chief, Victor Gutierrez was right at the front of that line. And a quick story, I'll finish with this, is we had the benevolent fundraiser coming up. We missed the first one I was here for because of COVID, but the second one that came up, and Victor calls me and says, hey, you need to come over here. I need to explain to you the benevolent golf tournament, and I'd like your participation. I said, yeah, absolutely. So I go over to the ARF station to get the briefing from Victor on the benevolent golf tournament. And he says, well, I'd like you to speak. I'd like you to ring the bell. And I'm like, I'm just, honored at this pleasure. And he breaks out a binder that is no less than 3 inches thick, that has all the donors, all the participants, the schedule, the whole 9 yards. And I just really appreciated it, but it was also a little bit of a sign of Victor's ability to organize and make things happen. And he made things happen for this city and this community for almost 40 years from this profession as a firefighter. So Victor, thank you on behalf of the entire city and on behalf of our community, and for me personally. Thank you for all that you've done and all that you will continue to do, because I don't think you're going to stop committing and helping this community. So thank you, Victor, for all of that. Absolutely.
The next item this evening is a new item, the Chamber of Commerce recognition of the businesses of the month. Mr. Morris, welcome.
Evening, Mayor Patino, members of the council. It's a pleasure to be back with you again this evening.
Mr. Morris, if you'd like to wait a couple of minutes till they've exited,
Yeah.
be fine.
In a wider doorway.
Yeah, you're going to close it. Thank you. Okay.
Mayor Patino, members of the council, we're here tonight to launch a new business recognition partnership between the Santa Maria City Council and the Chamber of Commerce. When a new business comes to Santa Maria, we rightly and proudly celebrate that milestone. Growth in terms of new jobs, new income, and new opportunities in our community is an appropriate time for us to pause and welcome them. At the same time, though, our community is blessed to be home to many businesses who have been part of our community for years and often even decades. These businesses continue to contribute to the success of our community through the jobs they provide for our families and neighbors, the payrolls that get spent in our other businesses, the contributions they make to local organizations and causes, and the leadership and volunteerism that their employees provide in our community. Often, though, because we've gotten kind of used to them being among us, or because their primary business activities are not focused within the city, we can neglect to express appreciation for what they mean to our community. This partnership is designed to do just that. Each month, we will come to one of your meetings and present two businesses at the start of the evening. While the businesses we bring to you each month will be amazing and worthy of recognition in their own right, we also know that they represent many other businesses of a similar type and story. For the next year, the businesses that we will highlight will come from two categories: manufacturers and women-owned businesses. In the future, we'll concentrate on other categories, but we thought that these two are a great place to start this program, as they will help our community understand the diversity of business types, sizes, and industry that exists in Santa Maria. So let's get started. Our first featured business tonight is Mob Armor, represented tonight by one of their senior leaders, Trevor Orca. And he's here with his family. Trevor, make you come on up and join us. Mob Armor was formed in 2014 in San Luis Obispo before relocating to Santa Maria in 2015 to fill their need for manufacturing and warehouse space, high-quality fiber internet, and their desire to locate in a community that understood and valued manufacturing. Today, the company employs 22 people who support over 2,200 resellers nationwide, 19 domestic distributors, and 7 international distributors. Mob Armor started with rugged smartphone mounts, which then grew into tablet holders and enclosures. If you've been in a restaurant that has an iPad as a cash register, that device that holds it probably came from these folks. Their customers include professional sports teams, universities, professional race teams. We gotta hook that one up still. Government agencies, enterprise businesses, and individual consumers. They continue to innovate and recently developed their own off-grid app for off-grid navigation as a complement to their physical products. Like many businesses, COVID changed their operations. As one response, they pivoted to manufacturing face shields during the pandemic, and even created a specialized face shield for the dental industry, which allowed them to keep their business open and their people employed. Trevor volunteers as part of a leadership team for the Econ Alliance organization and mentors Cal Poly students in their interdisciplinary senior design project capstone classes. The company donates to various local causes, including helping to keep our local beaches clean and open to the public for off-road or for off-highway vehicle riding. Mayor, it's my pleasure to introduce to you briefly Mr. Trevor Orca with Mob Armor. Trevor, do you want to make a couple comments?
I want to thank you guys for the honor here. It was kind of a surprise to us the other week, and just being here just reminded me what a great community we have here, and just even going through the Pledge of Allegiance again has been a long time for me, kind of emotional actually. But just the sense of community is why we came to Santa Maria. And whether it's the employees we have on staff, or even just working with people at the city, you guys have been welcoming, you've been great. We chose this place because of that. You guys were kind of said, hey, come on over, move your business here and grow. And I can tell you, we looked at a lot of other towns, and they didn't have the same ethos. It was kind of real refreshing to come to Santa Maria about 2016 or so. And so we look forward to growing here and keeping this be our home. And just want to thank you, and let's keep Santa Maria proud of us, and we hope to make you guys proud of us. Thank you.
Our second featured business this evening is the Veg Boss, represented tonight by the company's owner, Kim Cordova. She's here, I think, also with her family. Kim, do you want to come on up? Veg Boss started in 2018 and has grown by expanding their product offerings, reaching out to new growers in both North and South America, and continuing to provide best-in-class service. The company currently employs 6 individuals in our community. Veg Boss is a full-service produce house specializing in the needs of distributors throughout the United States, Canada, and Mexico, with attention on service and integrity. Kim and her team are big supporters of local youth sports. They work closely with the California food banks, helping keep them supplied with fresh, quality produce. Additionally, the company provides scholarships to the children of migrant farm workers and military families. Kim further serves in the community as a member of the United Way Board of Directors and on the board of her local National Little League. We're particularly proud of Kim and the Veg Boss, as they were recently named the 2021 Business of the Year by the California Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Mayor, members of the council, Ms. Kim Cordova, and Veg Boss.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the Chamber for recognizing Veg Boss. I'm honored for this first recognition as a female business owner. After being a stay-at-home mom for 14 years, I was challenged as to how I was going to re-enter the workforce. So I surrounded myself with strong female community leaders, so I want to appreciate you and I want to thank you for being an example for me. In our community, we have female leaders all over our community. We just have to look at them. They don't strive for attention. They're oftentimes in the background, making things happen, such as our strong leader, Molly, that we have, always attentive to all of our needs. And I want to be a strong, independent business owner, a female leader for others to follow. It's my responsibility, and I take my role as a female business owner very seriously with great pride. It's my responsibility to continue paving the path that was paved before me, and I'm honored to receive this recognition. In 2022, there's going to be a lot of who does she think she is? My response, I'm the Veg Boss. Thank you.
And Trevor, you'd come up, I believe Mr. Cordero has a certificate we're going to present. We want to make sure we get a good photo, so Molly's going to make that happen for us.
Mr. Morris, I didn't get, is it Oroc's name?
Or Trevor Orrick, yeah, O-R-R-I-C-K.
I couldn't hear you good.
Oh. She said good, she couldn't hear. There was a qualifier after that.
What, is it again?
His last name is Orrick. It's O-R-R-I-C-K.
Oh, okay, okay. And Kim, did you say Veg Boss or Veg Boss?
Veg Boss.
Veg, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah. And Mr. Orrick, thank you so much for bringing your family with you. Families are also welcome in chambers. They never get too noisy, believe me. Thank you very much, and congratulations on being recognized, both of you. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the public comment period. Madam Clerk, would you please read the criteria for the public comment portion of the agenda?
This time is reserved to accept comments from the public on consent agenda items, closed session items, or matters not otherwise scheduled on the printed agenda this evening. Unless otherwise directed by the mayor, speakers will have 3 minutes to comment. Direction to staff may be given, however, state law does not allow action to be taken on matters not on the printed agenda. Once the public comment period commences, no other speakers will be allowed to submit a request to speak form. Madam Mayor, before we begin, staff received one written communication from the Advocacy and Events Director for SB Can in support of a rent stabilization ordinance for mobile home owners and requested that the item be added to a future agenda. And we have 7 requests to speak here in chambers and 1 on Zoom. And it has been requested that Mr. Bruce Stanton on Zoom have the opportunity to speak first.
Okay.
3 minutes?
Sure.
Mr. Stanton, can you hear us? And
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
perfect, yes, thank you.
Oh, good evening. Mayor Patino and council members, Attorney Bruce Stanton speaking on behalf of residents of the North Santa Barbara County Manufactured Home Team. Since 1986, I've specialized in negotiating and drafting mobile home rent stabilization ordinances and mobile home memorandums of understanding on behalf of residents. Most recently completed one in Sunnyvale, California. Over 100 California cities and counties have some form of mobile home rent regulation, which is purely a local issue. There's no state regulation. And mobile homes are not really mobile. They're really immobile homes and immobile home parks. Mobile home owners have a large investment in their homes, often their most significant asset. And mobile homes are not depreciating assets. Once attached to land, they have the same equity characteristics of real property. The captive nature of the mobile home market is really significant because when rents are raised, mobile home owners can't move to a better rental situation. They must pay the rent or else sell for a bargain price or abandon their home. Many residents have a mortgage limiting their options. And as one federal court has famously pronounced, quote, the park owner has the mobile home residents over a barrel, unquote. To date, only 6 of the 15 Santa Maria parks, representing 69% of the total spaces, are participating in the voluntary model lease agreement that you negotiated in 2019. Resident signature within these 6 parks is very low, perhaps fewer than 20 spaces out of a possible 1,082 spaces. So we have 69 possible % participation, but less than 2% actual participation. Why so low? I see at least 8 possible reasons. First, because residents could not participate in the final lease negotiation. They don't trust the process or feel invested in it. The 100% annual rent adjustment, CPI annual adjustment, exceeds what most jurisdictions allow. 43 of the 64 jurisdictions that index below 100% of CPI, and most have no minimum percentage or floor. Pass-throughs are allowed for various items in addition to rent, with capital expenditure pass-throughs allowed up to $10,000. There's a blanket indemnity clause. There's 7.5% on resale allowed, where many jurisdictions allow 0 to 5%. No safety net programs are mentioned. 9 parks have no apparent intention of participating since it's purely voluntary, and some apparently didn't offer the model lease to all spaces or waited until other leases were already signed to do so. In sum, the model lease is not working to protect Santa Maria's vulnerable mobile home residents who occupy significant affordable housing, and something more should be done to protect them. So I urge you to open new discussions to consider either adopting an ordinance or renegotiating the model lease.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stanton.
Residents be protected. Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, here are the rest of the
Oh, thank you.
speakers.
Gary Hall, followed by Ed Zoost, followed by Jackie Jones.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Gary Hall. I'm a resident of Rancho Buena Vista Mobile Estates at 2135 North Railroad Avenue here in Santa Maria. I represent the North Santa Barbara County Mobile Homeowners Team. As I've stated many times, we still have mobile home rent stabilization unfinished business. The mobile home residents of Santa Maria need and deserve your help. You have a chance to protect mobile home space affordability. My fellow homeowners from several different parks are here tonight to plead with you. Why don't you show your hands here? Thank you. We have previously delivered to you hundreds of Santa Maria resident signatures on a petition to the City of Santa Maria demanding mobile home rent stabilization in Santa Maria. We have also delivered letters of endorsement from a variety of local organizations that have supported our efforts. We remain united. Please listen to our plea for help. 3 weeks ago, I shared with you an excerpt from the City of Santa Maria website titled Guiding Principles. The very first principle reads, enrich quality of life, promote a people-first approach, generate solutions that make living and working in the city easier, affordable, and desirable. We mobile home residents would like to see that principle applied to us. We would like to see you demonstrate to us how we come first, not the mobile home park owner who doesn't even live in Santa Maria. We would like to see you demonstrate to us how the city is generating solutions that make mobile home living in Santa Maria more affordable. As you heard, our attorney, Mr. Stanton, just spoke, and he was pointing out flaws that are embedded in Resolution 2019-129 and the accompanying model lease and enforcement agreement. You heard him refer to other jurisdictions that have successfully introduced effective mobile home rent regulations. Santa Maria could do the same if you're willing to reopen discussions and consider a rent stabilization ordinance, or at least fix the model lease. Let us help us generate a solution. Protect mobile home space affordability. Please direct the city manager to add mobile home rent stabilization to the agenda of a future meeting, to start the process, to have an open debate, to do what's right. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and thank you for your continued service.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Ed Zoost, followed by Jackie Jones, followed by Eileen Armijo.
My name is Ed Zoost. I'm from Santa Maria. Just want to make a quick comment on the upcoming transit fare change. The fact that introducing it would eliminate a lot of the current fraud that we're experiencing with passes for transits from one route to another. People all day long ask for transits. Somehow it's an urban legend. Get all the transits you can. You can use them all day long, wherever. There are only a 1 hour limit on them. But because of they ask it, they're not even going to use it right away. They stick it in their wallet. They may have 4 or 5 of them. So they can get a free ride when they get to their destination from another bus. A lot of times you see them strewn on the street or by shelters and bus stops. It's just, this new system would totally do away with that. It would eliminate these massive transit passes that people are getting now when they don't even need them. They're costing the city. It's costing time, but they don't pay a dime for it. The city's not getting any fare out of that kind of transit pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zoost. Jackie Jones, followed by Eileen Armijo, followed by Esther Jensen.
I hope I can take my mask off. It's so much easier to speak. Thank you. Today's a special day for me because I was able to get my booster shot for the COVID, and I just feel really happy about that. I've been waiting quite a while to get the booster shot, and I feel really good about that. I don't feel quite as good about a month ago when, of course, I have to pay our land, our real estate taxes on our home, and I expect to do that. And I expect to pay rent in the mobile home estates. And I do want to do my share. And I have been at 2%, and lo and behold, I get a little letter that the increase has gone up to 5%. So next year it'll be a 5%. And who knows, maybe the following year 10%. Without some kind of stabilization, there's no way that it can stop. It just keeps going. Now, my teacher's retirement doesn't keep going up that way. So I just want to thank you for consideration in this stabilization program. We're not asking to bend arms and to take our landowners' advantages, but we do want to have the respect, and we believe that we're doing our share. So I just thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Eileen Armijo, followed by Esther Jensen.
Madam Mayor and council members, my name is Eileen Armijo Encinas. I'm a constituent and live in La Maria Senior Mobile Home Park. I'm here as an advocate, asking you to protect Santa Maria's mobile home residents, some retired and some low-income workers, who need affordable housing. They have an investment as they have purchased the mobile home, but lease the land. All the maintenance of the mobile home and the land leased is up to them. Why can't the property rights of the mobile home owners be viewed as at least equal to the mobile home park owners' rights? The City Council needs to place on the agenda rent stabilization or an add-on to the model lease. This would allow for reasonable rent increases with a fair return on park owners' investment, and also would be enforceable, which the model lease is not. The residents of La Maria, the mobile home park I live in, do not have any of the model lease. Our owners have chosen not to participate. We have rent increases when somebody sells up to 10%. So your mobile home loses its value. Mobile homes are not mobile. Park owners have all the control. Why is Santa Maria unable to respond to calls for either an updated model lease or an ordinance in support of mobile home residents like other cities and counties around us? Please place on the agenda and help us and support the residents and park owners equally. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Armijo. Esther Jensen. Followed by Stephen Simpson.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, city members. I'm Esther Jensen from La Maria Mobile Home. Friends keep asking me how long before the City Council will be acting on our questions of rent control for manufactured homes. You keep going and coming back with no answers. What's the problem? Doesn't anyone have answers? My answer to them is, I don't know, and I wonder if they even care to address the issue. We just know that we'll keep trying until we get some answers. Can you help us out? Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Simpson, followed by Lisa Casillas. Am I pronouncing your name right?
You did pretty good. That's Simpson.
Simpson, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm here today, Mayor, City Council, to advocate for my fellow veterans living in manufactured homes and mobile homes in Santa Maria. like just about everybody on a pension, it's fixed and it occasionally goes up. But without rent control, the rents can go up and potentially can go up more than any pensions can, along with the other additional costs of living in a manufactured home. I was born in California and at 19 went in the Army, and after 34 years of serving my country that saw fit to send me anywhere but California, I came home to find that my parents' $34,000 house was now worth $650,000. So if I'm going to live in California, I'm going to have to be a renter. Some of my veteran neighbors have, because of the rising costs, opted to leave the state of California. That's not an option for me. My only option when I'm out of my home is your riverbed with the other veterans. So I'd ask you to please put this on the agenda. So try to keep some of our veterans in their homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Casillas Simpson.
Good evening, all. I was heartened by the recent news that Mayor Murillo of Santa Barbara has called for a 2% cap on rents in her city. I challenge you, Mayor and Council, to follow her courageous lead and example. Don't just look away. Hear us. Help us. Bring us to table. Give us the respect we deserve. We are your community.
Thank you. That concludes the public portion of the agenda. Before we go on, Mr. Silva, any comments? Moving on to the consent calendar, Madam Clerk, could you please read item number 3?
Routine items are presented for City Council approval without discussion as a single agenda item in order to expedite the meeting. The consent calendar is approved by roll call vote with one motion. These items are discussed only on the request of council members.
Does anyone have items they wish to pull for discussion? None? Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Waterfield?
Aye.
Councilmember Escobedo?
Because I was not part of that meeting, I would like to abstain from it.
Councilmember Soto?
Aye.
And Madam Mayor Patino?
Aye. Next, we have a presentation. Madam Clerk, could you please read the title?
I'm sorry. The City Council will receive a presentation from Connor Consulting on the Santa Maria Police Department's multi-year strategic plan.
And Chief Schneider, would you like to do the introductions?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. Tonight we're going to speak briefly on our department's strategic plan, and joining us tonight is our consultant, Dr. Paul Connor, and I'll let him go ahead and open up, and then I'll follow up with some comments and available for any questions when we're done. So go ahead, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays and good evening, Madam Mayor and honorable council members. My name is Dr. Paul Connor, and I'm pleased to present you with Santa Maria Police Department's first strategic plan. And Chief, do they have copies?
I know there's some digital copies. I'm not sure if you have them in front of you.
Perfect. So I am an organizational psychologist, which means I take the principles of psychology and apply them in organizations. In 2006, I started my firm, and since then we've worked with over 100 police, sheriff, and fire departments in this beautiful state of California. What I'd like to do is go over our background, our process, and then go over the highlights of the plan. So the process we used, we started in May, and we worked with our command staff to come up with 3 things. We're looking at a department mission, a department vision, and then a 2-year strategic plan. Once we spent May, June, and July with the command staff members, we took that information back to the employees at the police department, got their input, made those revisions, and then we had 2 community meetings, one in August and one in September, where we received feedback from the community. We also opened a survey online so people that weren't able to attend in person could attend that way. After that, we created and came up with the final strategic plan. So what I'd like to do now is just go over the highlights of that. Starting on page number 3, we see that the mission of the Santa Maria Police Department is committed to serving our community by enhancing public safety. And then the vision statement that the department came up with was, our community, your police. Then if you turn with me to page 5, we look at our first strategic priority. And that first strategic priority is investing in our people. And the descriptive sentence that we used to describe this priority is, empowering and challenging our people by providing opportunities, training, and unwavering support to prepare them for the future. And then for this priority, we had 3 objectives. The first one was to promote health and wellness. The second one was to create opportunities for professional growth. And the third one was to prepare for our future. Then if you go to page 9, we find our second strategic priority, which is engaging our community. And the descriptive sentence for this is deepening our relationship with the community. From this, we had another 3 objectives. First was meeting the needs of our community. Second was connecting with our community. And third was serving our most vulnerable. Then if you go with me to page 13, we come to our third and final strategic priority, which is protecting our city. Our descriptive sentence for this priority is, employing modern police strategies, we will defend our city from criminal activity. And the 3 objectives for this priority: 1, making informed decisions; 2, partnering to keep our city safe; and 3, providing innovative solutions. And as you see in the plan, each of those priorities has several action items that you can see that the department will be working on over the year. So that is an overview of the plan. Chief.
Thank you, Dr. Connor. Yeah, this was something that we hadn't done in my time at the police department, or if it was done, I was maybe a patrol officer and didn't pay attention to it possibly, so I'll give that caveat. But we've done so much, since 2013 when Chief Martin came to the department. We had many things that we changed throughout the department, from policies and procedures to essentially the culture through Chief Martin and Chief Hansen. And now looking forward into the future, we've created a strategic plan that is essentially a roadmap for our officers and sworn professional staff within the department, as well as city leadership and the community. So it will be something that will be kept on our website and accessible to the public, so they can look at any time to see what our priorities are within the department. And as we reach out and try to hire more folks in the department from sworn and professional staff, it gives them an idea and a clear vision of what we want to accomplish here at the police department, and I think that's important. And also, we just have great personnel that work at the PD. And just real quick to sort of divert off of this, and just today I just want to share a quick story. I was coming back from Santa Barbara, and as I was coming into town, I heard on the police radio that there was an unresponsive, they said, child at Food for Less on South Broadway. And as I was only 2 blocks away, and 2 officers arrived before me, and it ended up being a 15-year-old that was completely not breathing and in cardiac arrest, essentially. And when I got there, officers were doing CPR and brought her back. As the paramedics arrived, they had gotten a pulse, and she came to. And as I was thinking about tonight and coming and speaking in front of you, it just, I don't normally get to be on scene of those any longer. It just happened to be a coincidence that I was on the way back to the station. And when I think of the actions that those officers take, and it ties into the wellness piece, part of our strategic plan is wellness, and it's physical and emotional wellness. And so many times officers, fire personnel, and everyone that responds to these, they go through a lot of traumatic emotions when they go through those types of calls. So it's a priority for us to really focus on our people and to provide them with an opportunity to not only be physically well, but also emotionally well. And we have a strong peer support team. And we also use At Ease, which is another piece that is outside the department that gives some anonymity to officers who maybe aren't comfortable speaking to their peer groups. And on top of that, we also obviously, protecting the city and creating a safe environment, we've developed a lot of technology. Our drone program is one of those programs that's proven to be a big change in how we interact with high-risk situations, and also just looking for people who may be at risk and missing. We've had several high-risk warrant services for homicide suspects where we've been able to use our drones to communicate through the PA system on the drone and call people out of the home and from a safer distance. Our folks are safer, it makes the suspect safer. And just using our new technology with license plate readers and using that technology to do things in a better way. And we've hired a crime analyst, and we've had the opportunity to now use data to make some data-driven decisions on how we deploy our personnel. And as you look at this plan, it incorporates many pieces of that. We hired an outreach coordinator to really strengthen our community relationships and have more of a presence on social media so people can reach out easier to the police department, bringing back our community outreach programs and our community academies is something we're going to be doing here in early 22. So it's just nice to have this, and it's creates some flexibility as well. Things can change quickly in society and in law enforcement. So being able to have this as the roadmap, and if we need to make adjustments, we can do so. But if you guys have any questions or anything, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Any questions of the council? Ms. Waterfield?
Yes. From my viewpoint and what I see with our police officers out there, the community seems to embrace our police officers and our firefighters. In your opinion, is this different from any other city, any other surrounding city? I think that I believe you are doing a great job with your whole staff, and I thank each police officer and each employee, staff of the PD, and the firefighters for doing such a great job in making sure you do bring in the community, and you're out there with, trunk or treats or making kids feel comfortable and the whole thing, and this works so well for us five sitting up here because it makes our job easier too.
Sure. No, absolutely. I think there's many communities that probably are similar, but what we have here is very unique. We're very fortunate when we hire officers, especially the ones we're sponsoring through the police academy. The vast majority of them are local. So I think that is unique. Oftentimes you get folks from different parts of the state or country, and they don't have those roots here in Santa Maria. So that's something that's unique, and I think it speaks to our relationship because many of them went to school from elementary all the way through high school. And the fact when we can have a fundraiser and they raise $150,000 in one evening from our agricultural community speaks to the fact that people are appreciative, and I think our officers and our professional staff do an excellent job in how they treat people. I mean, people have to be treated well. You have to have respect, and that's something that we have a strong culture in the police department of doing. We work very hard to do that internally, and as a result, we expect that is how they conduct themselves in the public. And I've had several over the last couple of weeks comment. A friend of mine actually got a traffic ticket, and she was complimentary of the officer. He was very polite and professional, and that doesn't always happen. I mean, most of the time they're asking, hey, is there anything you can do to get me out of it? But they said, hey, I deserve it, and so it's nice to hear comments like that. And so I would agree with your assessment that.
And with your police officers from being homegrown, that has a lot to do with the Explorer program, and I know that program stopped during COVID. Is that going to ramp up here shortly?
It is. Actually, as I was coming over here tonight, we had probably a group of about 8 or 10 in our parking lot, and they were so they're starting that back up. At the peak, they were close to probably 25 Explorers, and then when COVID hit, it kind of brought it back down. So they're going to build that back up, and we're hopefully wanting to sort of piggyback off that program and create like a cadet position in the police department. Perfect. Oftentimes there's an age limit on our Explorers, and when they age out, they often will go to Hancock College if they don't go away to a 4-year university. So when they're at Hancock, hopefully the opportunity will be that they can come and work part-time at the police department, keep that connection with the police department, and then if they have a goal of working either as a public safety dispatcher, officer, or records, that will kind of keep them connected and plan for future recruitment efforts and have those seeds sort of planted. And we do that with the Teen Academy through Rec and Park. Each year we help host that, and so yes.
One of the other things that I just love about the youth is that, and I've always been a spokesperson for them, is the Grizzly Youth Academy, where you have such fine kids over there. And we have I think this last graduation, we had about 25 kids from Santa Maria over there, and it's a military school. But these kids are amazing, and they learn so much discipline, and they understand so many things about the world that hopefully some of these kids could also be future police officers.
Yeah, and as you know, we have a lieutenant that took a special interest in that.
Yes.
He actually went up to the graduation and gave them, he had some coins for the police department, and he gave it to each of the graduates. And I wasn't completely informed on what the Grizzly Academy was. I thought, they all had maybe been on probation, or it was a result of some other thing. And come to find out, actually, it's mostly the kids who have made the decision to change the circumstances in their lives and weren't necessarily in trouble, and they're using this as a tool to better themselves. And if we can get one or two that would ultimately come and want to work for the city, whether it's the police department or somewhere else, then that investment now is something we're trying to do for down the road. We want people now, but we also want to kind of create a plan to recruit 2, 3, 4 years down the road as well, and that's a perfect venue for it.
Good, great, thank you.
Mr. Escobedo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, thank you guys for it. I've seen a growth in terms of social media activities from the department. I think I just saw a couple of, before I arrived, a video of I believe Officer Ryan talking about be careful when you're driving because it's wet, and so I recognize that's a good strategy to reach out to our community. So thank you for that. And I have a question in regards I would like to know what is the UES team, the unmanned aircraft system?
Yeah, that's I call it drone. I mean, the UAS is the nice term for it, but it's the drone. So it's the small crafts that you can control and move around. So they're the ones that we're using now to deploy on high-risk incidents, where we'll deploy the drone and we can communicate to that person from a safer distance. At times, we can use them in commercial and residential buildings. So if we believe that somebody was barricaded inside a residence and we've made every attempt to get them to come out and no one's come out, we can actually place this drone inside the residence or commercial building and visually clear that building before we have to put a person or a canine into that building. So it's safer for everyone involved, and that technology is just something that many police departments throughout the state and country are using to actually respond to certain calls for service and get a visual before officers are even on scene. So that's what that is referencing to.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Soto?
Not question, but yes, it's a question and a comment. I noticed that on the strategic plan, there is, as an action item, there's trainings on de-escalation tactics. I was under the impression that those were already state mandated, or was I mistaken?
There is some that is recently state mandated, but we go above and beyond what those mandates are. So we have actually developed curriculum that was adopted by Post, and so they require so many hours, and we, on an annual basis, will do more than what is required. And so we just wanted to develop that and show that that's something that's important moving forward, and really put an emphasis on de-escalation, and that's why it's mentioned in the strategic plan moving forward.
That's great. And then my other question is, I didn't see anything on implicit bias and trainings, and so I'm curious what the police department is doing to receive training on that. I know that that's also state mandated, and so I'm wondering if the department is also doing the same in going above and beyond for those trainings.
Yes, there's actually quite a bit of training. We just didn't obviously list everything, but that is part of it. We've actually had a handful of folks already go through our implicit bias training, and in 2022 we'll be trying to get the remainder of the department through that as well. We were on track, and then when COVID hit, we ended up doing some of it online, and now I think as we're getting back into maybe some more in-person things, we can host some things at our academy or at the police station that will help kind of facilitate getting that done in a larger group and in a faster timeline. But that is part of the training that will be incorporated.
Mayor.
Mr. Cordero.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Dr. Connor, thank you very much for your contribution here.
You're welcome, sir.
I've kind of always viewed law enforcement as more responsive. In other words, society changes, and then the police have to follow them. I should probably tell you that I retired from this police department, but everybody else in the room knew that.
Except for me, thank you.
But, you know, something happens in society, in the culture that we live in, and then law enforcement adjusts to that and chases the problem. So we're always playing catch up or behind and trying to get to it. And you used the perfect words that you used in developing this document, sir, is that it's a roadmap. It tells us where we're going, tells us what we're going to do when we get there, and what you're going to learn while you're there. And I see that as kind of a progressive action that we're taking, a first strike in order to be ready for something when it does come up. And I think that that's a great improvement from what we got when I started, when they said, well, here's your stuff, hurry up and get it on so you can get out and get to work. And it's certainly a lot different. The only thing I see in here that is a carryover is I believe that I might have been involved in the vision where it says our community, your police. I think that was being kicked around when I was still there. It seems to me that I remember those words. But I sure thank you, and this is a great work. All we have to do now is get the men and women of the Santa Maria Police Department to get into the training and get this work done. And thank you very much. This is going to make us a better law enforcement service in our community.
You're very welcome. And if I could just speak to that point, one of the reasons that the strategic plan is 2 years versus 3 years or 5 years is because society has changed so much, and the impact of social media and laws have made both public safety industry, both the fire service and the police services, much more responsive to what's happening. So
you're always learning. You have to change to the new crimes.
Right.
I mean, 20 years ago, we'd have never thought about having to work on a cell phone.
Right. Crime stabilized. Now crime changes all the time with new technologies and new innovations. And so your department is taking a step that a lot of departments haven't done yet in trying to be proactive and look into the future and see what are we going to have to do with down the road rather than just responding to what do we have to do today.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much. I think it's a move in our right direction to deliver a service that's very much needed in all communities, not only here.
You're welcome.
So, and thank you, Chief. I think this is a very modern thing to do in law enforcement today. And we'll certainly be a model for many departments in the state to take on something like this.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Chief, I want to ask you a question. People are asking me, for instance, and I know with the technology and with the cameras that we're using, and people are asking me what kind of cameras should they get for their residents, and I have no idea, and I don't know if maybe we should do some kind of a, I don't know, flyer or something here at council or something so that people can know how to keep their own home safe. And we're finding people that drive by, if it's caught on a camera, on a drive-by shooting, that is really, really important to the neighborhood safety.
And that's another piece, is the bringing on the outreach coordinator as she gets her feet underneath her. Part of that is going to be an education component. So working with our community service unit on topics like that, they can do a Facebook Live video and record it and push it out through social media, or we can do it in a different forum. But just getting certain topics out to help educate the community into what camera systems or whatever that topic would be, that's going to be sort of the venue and how we see that position really working and kind of bettering those relationships as we move forward over the next couple of years.
Because I know there is an apartment building that had cameras, but when your officers went over there, the cameras were not placed in a strategic position and maybe just had to be tweaked a little or aimed at a different area so that it would be very helpful. And those are the kinds of information and education that I think we need to get out there. Mr. Cordero?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Chief, when you opened up the issues of cameras, and we talked about having people offer the use of their camera to the police department for ongoing investigations. Have we had any cases locally where we've actually utilized some of the privately owned video systems to make apprehensions and do investigations?
Yes, and I feel like people are more comfortable. They'd rather probably hand you some video that they're not giving. It's not a statement. It's not something that they have to get and potentially testify other than that came from their home. So I think there's some protection that someone feels by them not actually seeing it, but it's caught on video. And we actually had there was a homicide where we used cameras for several miles that was able to be significant information in developing how that person fled and recovery of certain evidence. So that's the big example, but we also find it on lower level crimes as well, where you have a hit and run and you do a couple door knocks and you can kind of get some information that leads to some, get some tips and follow up. So it happens on a regular basis, and there's not too many places you can go anywhere in the city without being caught either on someone's personal phone camera or from their home or Ring doorbell type system. So
thank you. Thank you.
Mr.
Technology.
Escobedo?
Yeah, just a clarification. You mentioned that people can just give you the video without having to go to court or any kind of action like that?
Yeah, it's not that they necessarily may not have to go to court, but if they didn't witness something themselves, but we knock on their door and they view their video and their video surveillance happened to catch something that occurred outside on the street or somebody passed by, they can turn that over to us and that can be used as part of the case. And also through our community service unit, folks can register their systems online, so the police department knows if we have a particular incident in an area, they know that so-and-so has a camera and is willing to share it with the police. So we encourage folks to register through the police department online, and then also oftentimes we go through and just door knock neighborhoods during canvasses.
Yeah, it would be good to push that in on social media so people can know that that kind of program exists.
Yes.
And they're not terribly expensive anymore, are they? I mean, they are reachable for many people.
I think very affordable, yes.
Yeah. That's right. That's the word I was looking for, affordable.
That'll be my retirement career, I think, camera systems.
Thank you.
You also need to do something with page 3 and get Strecker's picture off of this this thing. This can't keep going.
He actually, I took it out. Somehow he put it back in. So.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Connor. Thank you, Chief.
Nice job. Thanks again,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Connor.
Madam Clerk, do we have any written correspondence or requests to speak on this
No,
item?
Madam Mayor, not on this item.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have a regular business item. Madam Clerk, could you please read the title?
The City Council will consider approving the Santa Maria Transit Short Range Transit Plan, Addendum Number 4, Route and Fare Change Recommendations for 2022.
Thank you. And Mr. McCune, we'll start with you, and you can do the introductions.
Yes, good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members, and the public. In 2018, the city began work on the new short-range transit plan. This was a task that had been about 10 years since we had done an update. And this plan would guide the development of the city's transit program over the next 5-year planning horizon. Recommendations were based on performance, data, and community feedback collected during 2019. And when the SRTP was adopted, the pandemic had hit, but it was still very early. It was not clear if COVID impacts were short or long-term. So staff recommended the city defer most recommendations until COVID impacts were better understood and the operational environment stabilized. Tonight, Transit Service Manager Angiano is here tonight to talk some more about our approach. Over the last 2 years, he and the provider, RATP Dev, have been innovative and responsive in this fluid environment by introducing incremental service adjustments. However, it is now clear that a more comprehensive review is needed of the transit program so that we can continue to meet our mission to provide the highest quality service in the most efficient, cost-effective, and courteous manner. Staff retained Moore & Associates to update the short-range transit plan and bring forth recommended service adjustments to meet the needs of customers to ensure a sustainable transit program. I'll now introduce Transit Service Manager Angiano, who will review the SRTP addendum and present staff recommendations. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, members of City Council, pleasure to be before you. As mentioned, my name is Gamaliel Anguiano. I'm your city's transit manager. My colleagues and my friends refer to me as simply G. If it suits you, you're more than welcome to refer to me as such. It's easier for you. So thank you, Public Works Director McEwen.
You need to speak into the microphone.
Okay, thank you.
Or my city clerk just
I
told
thought
me.
he was on Zoom. I didn't see him. I was trying to turn him up.
So although already highlighted, I wanted to address the why we are here before you. Public transit is considered a lifeline service as it helps some of the most vulnerable of our community have access from their homes to social services, educational facilities, medical centers, places of employment, grocery shopping, commercial opportunities, and even social interactions. Public transit is a way to help strengthen our community and ensure that there's upward mobility and economic improvement for, again, many of those most vulnerable. So no small task or responsibility is entrusted on the transit program. However, we are facing two compounding and significant challenges. The first is a significant increase in demand while simultaneously having a labor shortage in drivers particularly. To summarize what this looks like, I thought I'd share the next 3 slides. This is just a picture of what happens as a daily occurrence at our transit center. As a result of the current network design that we have today, that we see a funneling and a bottlenecking of several routes, condensing our riders into just one route that serves their final destination, in this case, Pioneer Valley High School. The picture on the right, the smaller one, was taken at the moment that the 38th student boarded the bus. Now, why is that number important? Well, this is a 40-foot bus, and we know there are 38 seats on board. So what that means is, although still standing outside, we'll still be allowed to board. It is legal to ride standing, but will not have a seat. Now, that is quite a significant impact on our transit system, but the challenges do not stop there. If you speak to the driver, he will tell you he has a load just as large to pick up along the way. So as a result of this bottlenecking, many of the students and our riders express an anxiety, a stress level on if they will be able to get to school, if truancy will be an issue. So this is what opened up a big part of our discussion and revisit of our current transit system. To see what that looks like in the afternoon, there's this picture on the same day, where again, about the 38 students has already boarded, and the remaining 100 students are still chicaning, waiting their spot in line. These students may have to wait up to an hour before the next bus comes and can take them to their home. Valuable time they could be spending doing homework or other home responsibilities. Now, in a normal year, non-pandemic related, transit systems would have welcomed this ridership. We would respond to this exceeding demand by simply adding additional service, sending an additional driver to address it. But therein lies the second challenge that we are facing, a labor shortage. It's been well reported that across our industry, the transportation industry, has many headlines where many transit systems are reporting halting service, suspending service, reevaluating, all as a result of their driver shortages, as noted by these headlines. Now, as of the most recent, and the situation doesn't seem to be getting any better. As noted by this December 1st headline, some transit agencies are even now begging for employees. Because again, we have a vital role in helping the most vulnerable, and not providing service shouldn't be an option. Now, for those in the audience who might fear, well, these are all headlines of places far away from here. Well, this driver shortage or this labor shortage is also happening within our own very region. Our neighbors to the south and to the north are reporting their own challenges and having to do suspensions of service as a result. Staff in Santa Maria have rather get out in front of this, make some changes, address the challenges so that we don't become another headline. With that said, that is what's brought us before you, an addendum to the 5-year plan, which is our short-range transit plan, which makes some service recommendations. We looked at this plan through 5 primary objectives. First and foremost, address the driver shortage. How can we do our service with what we have as far as labor-wise? But it couldn't be a wholesale scale back of service because after all, we have a responsibility to serve many in our community. So how can we not only take this challenge and turn it into an opportunity to create routes that better support our local schools, particularly high schools, where there is the biggest segment of growth and demand? Thirdly is how do we improve this for many more in our community? Where are there currently service gaps or opportunities to improve our service to create meaningful connections between neighborhoods, medical, educational, employment centers, which correspond to logical geographic travel patterns? In short, how can the trip look much more like they would have done in a personal automobile? How can we reduce the amount of connections they have to do in order to get to their final destination? Other opportunity was create routes that are on headways or schedules that are easily memorable and truly pulse in and out of the transit center, something that we identified as an opportunity to bring here locally. And then we felt we'd be myopic if we were only looking at addressing the now. As many of you know, the state has mandated that public transit systems go electric. And since this is a 5-year plan, we need to start looking at future-proofing our transit system so that we can better meet the limited range electric buses have or until that technology improves. So the comprehensive look has been looked at our transit system. You have an attachment B, which is the addendum to the plan, which summarizes many of those, but I'll highlight some of the key features that came out of that plan. First off, I'm happy to report that although we do have to do some scaling our service, we are able to preserve existing bus stop service for the vast majority of our city. What that means for our riders, if they rely on a particular bus stop, it is highly likely they still have bus service in some way, shape, or form to that stop. In a few exceptions, we did have to identify stops that needed to be deleted, but for the majority of those, we can provide an acceptable alternative just around the corner a few feet away. And with even rarer exceptions, there are some bus stops that will be deleted, but our data showed that they were unproductive and great opportunities to scale back on the service without affecting many. And rather, conversely, we actually identified 25 additional locations to add bus stops, improving access to our city's public transit system as a result of our reroutes and introduction of a new route. Consistency and reliability of service.
Mr. Adriano?
Yes.
Ms. Waterfield has a question. Excuse me.
I've got these questions going on in my mind as you're talking. So when you say you're going to delete some bus stops that are non-productive, do you take the amount of people that come onto these buses, and what amount would that be that you would consider it non-productive to stop there?
So that's a great question. In many of them, it's zero ridership, so we know we're not affecting anyone. At some point, there was an assumption, or the need has changed. In other cases, it was so infrequent and very distant in time that, again, we could make a safe call that we can delete that stop. This is a data-driven process that ultimately is shaped by the public participation process. We highlighted those stops, so anybody who might be affected had opportunity to come forward and say, hey, I still need that stop regardless.
Okay, and my other question was, do we have any empty buses that are sitting right now with no drivers, and we're not using them at all?
So yes, we actually have what's called a spare ratio. We intentionally have more vehicles than we have drivers. That is more of a maintenance issue. As we rotate vehicles in and out of service for maintenance, we can grab a different vehicle to make sure it's service.
We don't have buses that we need drivers for to fulfill our routes.
In the model we're operating today, we are barely making pull-out. In other words, what we have stated to the public we will deliver through some very creative solutions and some overtime, we're able to deliver. But at this rate, we're trying to get out ahead of it so it doesn't get worse. All right, moving forward, so again, consistency and reliability has been worked into the service. We're recommending the routes start at 6:30 a.m. and end at about 8 p.m. As again, our data shows that it's in between this period, our service is the most productive, and the best place to trim would be on the shoulders of these two times. Routes have been worked so they're on 45-minute frequency, and they coordinate with each other at the transit center, pulse in and out. So if you're a rider and you need to get to another route, when you get to the transit center, it is highly likely it's already waiting for you, instead of having to wait at the transit center before you make that connection. We were also very strategic and deliberate in intentionally creating 5 to 10 minutes of what's called recovery time on every loop. This helps ensure that our on-time performance reaches a 97% rate or better. In the few exceptions where we are running late, it would be the same delays that a person in an automobile would face because of unforeseen road conditions of construction or an accident. Additionally, we're able to create 2 additional transfer points. Now, transfer is different than transit center. These are bus stops that are not only served by multiple routes, but the schedules of these routes are coordinated so that, again, you can make a connection there. The first is on the north end of town at Merrill Gardens and Sway Lane, where routes 2, 9, and 3 will connect. The second one is on the south end of town at the Crossroads Shopping Center, often referred to as the Walmart stop, where up to 4 routes will connect, the 4, the 8, the 11, and the 7. So again, this helps shorten the trip for our passengers. They need not have to come all the way to the center of town, where the transit center is, before they can catch another route. They can shorten their trip, make it easier for them. So this travel time has been reduced, and we anticipate that as a result, again, we achieved the first primary objective of doing with as many as 5 to 7 less drivers. Now let me be clear, nobody's losing their job over these changes. But where we currently cannot and struggle to fill as many as 7 positions, we will no longer be relying on those as a result of the efficiency we've introduced here. I'm happy to report, and it is very important to note, that the plan that is before you is not only a data-driven report, but one that has been shaped by the public participation process, which we commenced on October 14th, held 6 workshops virtually, and also 2 in person. We had robust comments on our plan, many, in some cases requesting service, others suggesting alternatives to service, and where possible, we incorporated all those in the plan that's before you. This is a system map summarizing those changes. I'll come back to this as we move through the individual slides of the routes. I also want to highlight that because this is a 5-year plan, it is important that we look at our transit system through that lens and the longevity of it. So in part of the plan, there is a proposed fare change, but it is very strategic and is designed so that the impacts on our rider are relatively minimal. The first recommendation to council is to introduce a new one-day pass, which we currently do not have, priced at $3. That is the equivalent of a rider paying $1.50 for each time for their round trip. But for $3 of a one-day pass, they now have unlimited trips. And this opens the opportunity of traveling more and often for our riders who need access to those critical centers. We would discontinue free transfers. 1, to stem the abuse, as commented earlier by a public member. Also, because that provision is no longer necessary when our service coordinates with the transit center and as a result of introducing this new one-day pass. We would request that council allow us to introduce what's called an intermediate long-term pass, which is a 7-day pass priced at $12, which again represents a discount over buying even the $3 one-day passes. And because our community is not out of the woods yet with this pandemic, to temporarily reduce the cost of the existing 31-day pass, which is $48, down to $31, to again aid our community, ensure that they have mobility throughout this challenging period. However, because again, we too are being affected by increases in fuel prices that just about everybody else is being affected. Our parts, our equipment is also being affected by inflation. They're also being stuck on boats in Long Beach. We need to make sure that our program is fiscally sound. And so we are asking as part of this plan to increase the single fare from $1.50 by 50 cents up to $2 so that it aligns with the breeze fares, putting our system even across the region. Additional considerations. Again, this is, looking through the lens that this is a 5-year plan.
Excuse me.
Oh, please.
Mr. Escobar has a question.
Yeah, thank you. And you mentioned that it would match the breeze system. That means that they also charge $2 per single ride?
That is correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Thank you.
And that price is established by the regional partners that create the breeze. So this aligns us so that it's uniform across the region. So again, as we're looking at a 5-year horizon, we need to start looking ahead as well. So additional considerations is that this new one-day pass would ultimately incrementally increase until it reaches $3.50. This will still be a 50-cent discount over paying the $2 for 2 one-way trips when that price increases, increasing the 7-day pass until it reaches $15, again, very strategically and incrementally, so that the impact is nominal. And then again, eventually returning the 31-day pass to its original cost of $48. The conditions for these are based on a number of factors: economic recovery, rebound in our society, or any additional cost increases that may be impacted the transit program. And those will be brought to council for consideration or for acknowledgement of when those would be putting enacted. But when we look at a 5-year horizon, we did not want to be short-sighted, only address the now. We need to be ready for the future. I will move to the next slides rather quickly. You do have a copy of the Addendum Report, which summarizes these, but I want to make sure for the benefit of the public, they saw them, if they hadn't had a chance. Route 1, almost no changes. This was a very productive route, our data showed. The only thing we did was adjust it so it's on a 45-minute frequency with many of the routes. So you can now coordinate the Route 1 with other service in our community. Route 2 had a significant change. One, we bisected it. There was a southern section that just was a totally different demographic group than the northern section. So we unraveled the northern section that it now has connections to the commercial shopping centers at Vallarta Market, Food Max, and the similar, but also provides an east to west connection for the families that live on the northwest side, but have students that go to Pioneer Valley High School on the far east side, northeast side of town. And again, that one makes connections at the new transfer center at Merrill Gardens and Sway Lane with routes 3 and 9, multiple options on multiple ways to get around the north side of town. Route 3, again, also largely unchanged. We did delete the unproductive and redundant segment of the Route 3 on the southern end. The Route 7 is the method of choice for Allen Hancock students to get to school. This route ran largely empty on that southern half. But again, this route is on a 45-minute frequency to coordinate with the other ones. It makes the connections at the Merrill Garden Sway Lane. Also has extension to Pioneer Valley during the academic period. Route 4, another route which we bisected. Oddly enough, this route that starts at the airport is the one that serves Pioneer Valley. But that is quite a stretch for our system and required quite a bit of resources. By bisecting it and concentrating it on the population that needed most, we're able to come down to just one driver. Some features of this: it's been extended to serve the Walmart market on Blosser, as well as CHC medical facilities there, which was often a request. The schedule of the route aligns with bell times for Santa Maria High School, so again, supporting students there, and still preserving some service to the airport as shaped by the public participation process. Route 5 picks up the southern half of the Route 2 that was bisected off. Route 5 now picks up that southern half as well as the most southern half of the Route 7, allowing both Route 2 and 7 to be more productive or to be more concentrated where they're most productive, but still without eliminating any service for those who may need the southern half of service. Also on a 45-minute frequency, so they can coordinate with folks at the transit center. Route 6 is the primary service for the Orca community. This one will connect with Route 7, 8, 11, at the southern transfer center, which is at the Walmart stop, again shortening how far a rider has to go before they can get other routes. I also want to highlight that this was a route shaped by the public participation process. Originally, the plan had identified a service gap along California Boulevard, putting transit services where the concentration of families were. However, after we received feedback from the community, we are recommending to council that we honor that public request and preserve service on Blosser. Route 7 has been made more concise and focused where it is most productive. It goes from the transit center, Allen Hancock College, Walmart, shopping centers along Betaravia, and houses on McCoy, as well as Broadway, also on a 45-minute schedule. Route 8 serves the Tanglewood community, bringing them into town, commercial opportunities. We're improving this route as we now will drop them off on the Walmart side of the street as opposed to the opposite side where they had to go back to the roundabout, cross the parking lot. We'll now get them closer to the front door. This route was also shaped by the public participation process. The sheriffs office was requesting service to their new facility out on Black Road. We believe we're working with them to identify a safe location to pick up and drop off passengers. Once we achieve that, it is quite easy to direct our service out there, providing visitation opportunities for families who might have someone to visit there. Route 9 is a new route. We identified that Alvin, where there are plenty of families, does not have service today. But we would recommend introducing Route 9 not only to pick up parts that were lost on the Route 2, but again, address this service gap where if you live anywhere near Alvin, you have to go a half a mile in either direction to get to your nearest route. So this will improve service for many folks in that part of our community. And finally, our Route 11, the primary focus is serving the southern half of Broadway. It is very intentional that Route 1 does the northern half of Broadway and Route 11 does the southern half. That's quite intentional. Also in a 45-minute loop, again, coordinating with other routes, both at the Trans Center and at the Southern Transfer Center. Again, here is a summary of the map, summarizing those recommended changes that are before you.
I thought you would.
Madam Mayor?
Guess what? Oh, yes, Mr. Cordero.
Thank you. Mr. McEwen, I didn't want to stop you when you were in the middle of your presentation there, but because you were on a roll. But I think you were answering the question that the gentleman complained about earlier at public comment. Does this process you just went through address that issue that he mentioned?
Councilmember Cordero, yes, the proposal in front of you would eliminate the free transfers, and that was the complaint, that multiple transfers were kind of being held and used at inappropriate times. So
Okay,
yes,
so
that would be part of the
it will address that. So the problem's already taken care of, and well, it's planned to be taken care of.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Ms. Waterfield? Yep.
Well, I'm not done.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Cordero. Okay.
When we have a bus that goes like out to Tanglewood and out into the Orchid area, is this just on us, or is there any compensation from the county, or is this just part of the public transportation delivery system and then that's it?
Yes, both the city and the county receive state funds for transit service. The county allocates a certain amount to the city to provide service within the county. So
there is some reimbursement.
We're
there.
reimbursed for those services, yes.
Okay, thank you.
By any chance, this is wishful thinking. I know we're going to be doing, we're going to be resurfacing Broadway. Any chance we could put bus inlays to stop and go pick people up? Because I'm looking at map 11 going down Broadway and the various stops, and it would be nice if, but that would probably be a Caltrans call on that.
Sure. Yes, Councilmember Waterfield, that would require a permit from the state.
Correct.
And we'd have to identify the locations that would be useful.
Have we ever done that?
Installed turnouts after the fact. Usually those are done with new development, so we don't often put in.
But no, just on Broadway, when we do the resurfacing, have we ever asked them to install turnouts for our bus services?
I don't recall that coming up specifically, but knowing Caltrans, they want the city to pay for most of those improvements. So it's, yes, I think they would expect us to fund
I think we did one at Santa Maria High, but I don't know when, and then further up by Foods Co. Because I think sometimes people want to turn in there thinking they're turning into the parking lot, and they're not,
Because there would be a need for North Broadway, and so it probably wouldn't hurt. And did we pay for that? They paid for that. So, you know what? Put a request in for that and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm being told that it was a developer installed improvement. So
It was?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I get that. Okay.
Even in front of Santa Maria High School?
Sorry.
I'm not catching your hand signals there.
I'm sorry. Director McKeon. The discussion was on North Broadway, and at the time on North Broadway, for example, on the southbound end of North Broadway, near where the Starbucks is and Mountain Mike's Pizza and that sort of thing, the developer was required to put in that essentially a right turn lane and what would be also a bus turnout. And then similarly, when development occurred along Broadway, it was a condition of approval for the development. In
Who
my
did
time
Santa
at-
Maria High School?
At Santa Maria High School, I couldn't speak to that one specifically, and then as we added bus stops, there were not turnouts added on other portions of Broadway.
I think we're all talking about the same thing here, but when you're northbound on Broadway, and probably about the 600 block South Broadway, and just north of the railroad tracks, when the bus just comes up and stops.
Yeah.
I think that's what Ms. Waterfield's referring to. It is dangerous, and I just happened to get stuck behind it here about a week ago, and I thought, it's just a question of time, and somebody's going to be lighting a cigarette or talking on a cell phone or something and run into the back of that bus. But it does have its issues, but I'm sure that Caltrans has got to, somebody's got to die, and then they're going to consider it. They're going to, I know that they do things based on how many accidents that happen sometimes.
So it wouldn't hurt to bring that question up, because, we've got all along North Broadway and everything, we've got more people on the road than we've ever had before. And there's a lot of distracted drivers, as Councilmember Cordero was speaking to. On another note, more information. I'm going to be doing the Ben Hayes show, and so I want to give them information where they can contact to get a hold of you for these different routes and things. So where can you give me that information?
We'll be happy to provide it. We're in the process of updating our communication materials.
Okay.
Typically, it would have been SMAC comments
Right.
at the City of Santa Maria. As part of the rebranding, it'll be something different. We'll
Okay.
we'll get you that information.
So by tomorrow morning, by 8 o'clock? I'm doing the show in the morning, so.
Right. They can still continue to communicate with us through our website, which has a portal to communicate. The
Okay, to the city website, just go to the.
The SMAC comments,
okay.
that would still work.
Perfect.
That'd be
Okay,
fine.
that's what I want to know, because I didn't know if any of that had changed as well. So I think I'm good, thank you.
Ms. Soto?
Thanks. I noticed the changes and the amendment with the fees. My question is, do we still have that program for students to apply for what is it, like?
Bus passes? Yeah,
Yes.
we do.
That's
Right, so
awesome.
not affected is any existing programs that are funded by grants to provide discounts or even free bus passes for many of our students, correct?
We give them out at the schools, yeah. Any other questions? Mr. Escobedo, go ahead.
Just getting into the map, I'm pretty visual. So I was looking at the map, the first one, and I see that in the northwest side, one of the bus lines, it takes, it's the railroad, and they go down. And then there's this other one that just go to another street. I believe it's Western. Yeah. And I believe that's the one. If you can go to the first. The one that has all the
Too many questions. We're out of questions.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
So do we have any stuff on where the route number 1 and the 2, if I recall them, do we have any stuff that can connect those two routes on that area?
So yes, and perhaps not in the way that you were asking. Okay. The service on that northern road, the road named escapes me, that goes in front of You're right. We'll be served by both Route 1 and the Route 2. And so if you're at a bus stop, you have the option of waiting for you. The difference with those stops as opposed to our transfer center is the schedules are intentionally designed to meet the buses at the same time. Where we're covering two different geographic segments and we get to one spot faster than
Another, it's not possible to coordinate every bus stop to be a transfer center.
No, so they might need to wait a little bit more than, or, it's kind of like how lucky the person might be.
Right, they should be closely right behind each other, but I couldn't guarantee that the connection is seamless.
How fortunate the person might be.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any written correspondence or requests to speak on this item?
Madam Mayor, staff received one written comment from Ryan Sullivan, writing on behalf of the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office, expressing their gratitude for the city's collaboration regarding an additional bus stop at the Northern Branch jail site, and we have no request to speak.
Thank you. So I'll bring this back to the council for a discussion and/or a motion. Don't everyone jump up at the same time.
I'm ready. I make a motion that we accept it as he presented it, Mayor. I think it's, we're going to certainly, at the very least, we're going to have to try it out.
Yes.
And see what adjustments need to be made.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and I have a second to approve the resolution on the short-range transit plan. Any further discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Soto?
Aye.
Councilmember Escobedo?
Hi.
Councilmember Waterfield?
Aye.
Madam Mayor Patino?
Aye. And thank you very much, Mr. Aggiano. Did I pronounce that right? You did. Good.
Aggiano.
Thank you. I wrote it down phonetically. Next item will be
how you spell it.
the next item will be a report by the city manager, Mr. Stillwell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. The next meeting of the City Council is December 21st. It's the last meeting of the calendar year, and so there are a few annual update items on that agenda: the growth mitigation annual report, the annual fire inspection report, and the annual appointment of the mayor pro tem. And then also, I want to introduce Linda Lee. She's behind me here. She's our new Chief Human Resource Officer overseeing the city's HR function. We're fortunate to have her and her experience here helping us with our HR issues that the city and most other organizations are facing, as Gamaliel just talked about as well with transit, with the pandemic, staff shortages, and the need for us to be more nimble and remain an employer of choice. Her career's been in local government management in cities and counties, mostly in the Ventura area. Comes to us most recently having served as Director of Human Resources for Humboldt County, which is a local government in Northern California with 2,400 employees. And so please join me in welcoming Linda Lee.
Welcome, Ms. Lee. Okay, that's it. Okay, we'll go to oral reports of council members. Where should we start? Okay, Ms. Soto, we'll start with you.
Nothing to report.
That was very concise.
Madam Mayor, ditto.
Okay. Mr. Escobedo?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. On December 3rd, I attend the community Christmas tree lighting. Well, I can rephrase that as a pretty emotive community Christmas tree lighting. It was great. It was completely different than last year when it was basically staff, the kids and the families. That was beautiful. So and I had opportunity to talk with many of the kids and the families. So that was a good day. And on December 4th, I attend the Dia del Campesino celebration at the memorial, and that's it for my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cordero?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On the 18th, I met with members of the Santa Barbara, or member of the Santa Barbara County Supervisor's Office to discuss some mutual interests that we have within the city and items that are concerning both jurisdictions. And on the 4th, I testified at the county hearing regarding the county boundaries that they're working on for the census. The 5th, I was at a dinner at the Marriott in Buellton that discussed technology. And I can share with you, Madam Mayor, that the technology that they discussed was almost scary. It is so advanced. And just a couple of things, they talked about being able to get on a transportation device and like you would get on in Los Angeles and you could land and go anywhere on the globe, the whole world, and be there just a couple hours. And some of the stuff that they talked about is just beyond my thinking. I likened it to living in the year 1800, and then suddenly, with the flip of a light switch, you're in the culture that we live in today with computers and light bulbs and gas stoves, and it's just almost incomprehensible. But some very, very advanced technology that they're working on. Probably the most impressive thing was what they're doing in the medical fields and actually making hearts, kidneys, and things of that nature. It was really impressive. Then the next day, I went to Santa Barbara and listened to the that was for the Econ Alliance, by the way. Mm-hmm. Then I went to a meeting in Goleta that was put on by the state president for the Chamber of Commerce, and listened to several speakers, but a very impressive young lady by the name of Jennifer had some really positive things to say about what's going on and some risky things to talk about. That was also a very impressive meeting. I attended the Christmas tree lighting out here in front of the City Hall, and then today I was at the Freedom Monument, and I have to compliment you and Mayor Lavanino. Some very touching, informative, emotional speeches were given at that Freedom Monument, which was just incredible to listen to the comments made on some of the local heroes. And that's all for me, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. November 17th and 18th, I took a group of, I think it was 22 kids to two universities and excursions of the Getty Museum and the Broad Museum. And I attempted to get onto the Marion Foundation board meeting, but somehow my phone wasn't working right. On the 18th, I had an APC meeting in the morning, and again, I just couldn't get on. The instructions weren't, I thought it was just me, but the instructions weren't real good. November 19th, I attended the law enforcement torch run at the Abel Maldonado Center, the final leg of the ceremony. And November 30th, I attended the Santa Maria Joint Union High School District Board of Education meeting on on redistricting. And then on the 1st, the Santa Maria Bonita School District community input sessions on the superintendent search. And so they're interviewing people in the community as to what they want the new superintendent to look like. And let's see, on the 3rd of December, the Santa Barbara County Mayors and City Managers meeting. And that evening, we did the community Christmas tree lighting. And I would agree, it was so much, it was like it was embellished from years before. And of course, we weren't running off to get into the parade, so I think that probably made a difference. But the Elks bringing all the kids from their Circle of Champions and parents being there was very significant. And today, I attended the Freedom Monument ceremony, which again was spectacular. Mr. Dave Cross and Bob Hatch are very instrumental in putting the monument together, but then they continue to work on this every year. And I think all the kids from St. Mary's were there, and they sang a lot of patriotic songs, but a lot of people there in attendance. And Mr. Posada, our Rex department, did a fantastic job of putting the the seating and everything. And I'll take charge of the weather, because it was pretty nice. We had to sit outside, so that was great. Any other comments from council? Mr. Escobedo?
Thank you. I don't want to miss the opportunity to congratulate, recognize the great job the CHC did for the Dia de los Campesinos. They even, I don't want to miss the opportunity to say thank you, because they give me a kind of like a tour throughout the process and all the services. It was full of community members. It was really, really great. They even ran out of forms. The people were coming in, so they have to print more. And the way everything that worked was great, so I just want to congratulate them. Thank you.
Thank you. No further business? Oh,
Yes,
Ms. Soto.
thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to acknowledge the group of mobile home park residents that are here tonight, and to ask once again to see if we can add this to a future agenda item for the council to discuss.
Thank you. Okay, if there are no further comments from the council, this meeting is adjourned.